Welcome to the Expert Network Team podcast,
where our goal is to inform and educate our listeners on matters related to finance, legal, insurance, accounting, and other interests that are of personal and business nature.
We hope you will find our content useful as well as entertaining. The Expert Network Team consists of Carl Frank of A&I Financial, Mike Miller of Miller and Associates CPAs, Jeff Cromendike of Security First Insurance Agency, and I'm Nathan Merrill. I'm an attorney at Goodspeed and Merrill.
Together, our independent team combines our expertise to provide you insights and solutions, some straightforward, some profound, for real-life opportunities we see on a daily basis. We hope you enjoy the information contained in today's podcast and find it useful. If you'd like to learn more or desire to meet with any of the Expert Network team members in person, you can contact us at info@expertnetworkteam.com. That's info@expertnetworkteam.com.
And we encourage you to take advantage of a free consultation with any of our team members. Just mention this podcast when you schedule your appointment.
Now on to today's podcast.
Welcome to today's podcast. I'm Carl Frank with A&I Financial Services, and with me today I've got Jeff Cromendike from One Digital. Hello, Jeff.
Hey, Carl. Good to see you.
It's good to see you too, my friend. And Nathan Merrill with Goodspeed and Merrill.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here also.
I'm so glad to have you both join me. We're going to talk about reasons for optimism in the recession that we're going through here at the end of 2022. You know, we don't get a whole lot of optimism with the news.
Are we in a recession? Is it official?
Technical recession.
I think that there's...
By one definition, I guess.
Right, exactly. 2 quarters of decline, makes it a recession by some people, but no.
Depends on which political party you affiliate with.
And really, your overall outlook on life. Like, does it really matter? And that's going to be part of our topics here today. We've got 10 ideas here in front of us. We don't have to read through all of them. I think the idea is that people are looking for optimism. And as business owners, the three of us and all the business owners who are listening to us today, we need to be that voice of optimism for our companies.
Yeah, absolutely. I was just glancing through these in preparation a little bit. Really, really interesting. And certainly as we move forward serving our clients, we need to keep them on the rail, right?
Right.
And a lot of that's going to be just really reminding them what's true, because they're out there believing all kinds of lies. And, we were talking a little bit, Carl, you're reading a book right now about the last 10 or the worst 10 recessions in U.S. history or a stock market history. And the reality is they all kind of read similar, don't they?
Sure do.
History repeats itself. So this will be some good stuff just to keep in our quiver here to remind each other, but also remind our clients.
Well, and I think what you said there, Jeff, is appropriate. Is they want optimism, they want something positive, but they want truth. They don't want to just be blown smoke or whatever. And I think that's the essence of that whole concept of silver lining, right? With every storm, there's a silver lining to the cloud, and that's the truth that we want to give them. That's the optimism that they need.
Exactly. So one of the first points we're going to talk about here today that, the news will make it sound like at the end of the world if we are in a recession, and we're recording this before the official recession organization of the United States of America has declared it a recession, but it doesn't matter, right? It's a recession for your family if you're out of a job.
We're feeling it, right?
Yeah, right? And we just feel the stress, and the news is negative all the time. But most recessions are mild, right? Even the COVID-induced recession was the biggest dramatic decline in GDP in the history of the United States, faster than ever before, and we came out of it 6 months later, right? And that's just a few years ago. Most recessions are GDP recession decline of about 4%, and they last about 18 months, right? And that would be a bad recession, right? This is not, it hasn't been 18 months, and we're not down 4% in GDP. Most recessions are mild. Now, it's very different for a business, right? If I told you, Nate, that your business revenues are going to be down 4%, I think you'd say, well, I'll just roll up my sleeves and work a little harder.
Definitely, and if it was going to be worse, let's just take worst case scenario that it's a more significant recession. One of the great opportunities is in a recession is the the reset that can happen personally to say, hey, I'm going to redeploy my capital or personnel into a more profitable area. So even though you could just hold tight and say, I'm going to take a 4% dip for 18 months, you can also say, I see an opportunity over here, and it's the catalyst that triggers you to do something.
Exactly. That's actually the second point that's in our list here, that business owners control their own destiny. Right, Jeff? I mean, if I told you I was going to take away 4 pennies from you because one of your biggest clients is 4 pennies of every dollar you earn.
You'd have a big red face on the side, or mark on the side of your face.
Well, you go find another one, right?
Right.
Or figure out another way to
You'd be
make
motivated.
that 4 cents back.
You'd be motivated, right? And that might be all this recession does, right, is take away 4 cents of every dollar that you earn. And so as a business owner, what are you going to do about it? Just give up?
Throw up your hands? Yeah, no.
Of course
And that's
not.
that's usually probably why. I mean, it's a circular reasoning at some level. That's probably why recessions are mild, is because it does trigger those entrepreneurs, the catalysts, the innovators to get to work and start to produce again. Because it wouldn't be a recession if it didn't end. It would be a depression, right?
Exactly.
So there's a catalyst in a recession that causes people to get back into the game, to doing something, because innately the human kind desires production, desires.
Oh, absolutely. Right. And that's like the third point. So you're going to go out and you're going to work harder and you're going to work harder and I'm going to work harder, but our competitors might not. Right. I think we can pretty much, right. They're going to perform badly. And this is going to give us an opportunity to gain market share.
Yep. And ultimately they'll fail, which is, I think, is point number 4, right? There's really, a situation here that's a reality. There will be fewer competitors out there when this is all said and done. And, that's probably, call it survival of the fittest or whatever. It does create a healthy market. It creates a healthy, competitive and, just I think a healthy market all overall.
When I take whether it's failure or I think what we're seeing in our the current recession, or at least one of the catalysts behind it, is what they're calling the Great Resignation. We're seeing a lot of people they're not giving up, they're not failing, they're just calling it quits. They're saying, I'm done, I'm whatever, somewhere between 65 and 75, and they're saying, there's no point in me writing out another one, I'm just going to leave. And it's we've talked about this in prior demographic podcasts, Carl, where the demographic that's leaving the workforce is a rather large one. Mm-hmm. So if there is a great resignation, it's not failure that's happening. It's just people leaving the workforce, which gives us opportunity.
Gives us huge opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm thinking about the unfortunate demise of businesses, especially of those that really don't want to go out of business. There's certainly those business owners, Nate, like you said, or they're like, I just don't have what it takes, or I just don't have the gas in the tank to go through this again. Most recessions last less than 18 months, right? So, but do I have that kind of resilience? Do I have that kind of drive to do this again? And I just, looking ahead on this sheet, the next 2 actually refers specifically to our labor market. And I don't know about you guys, but we are dying on the vine right now trying to find good help. And some of it's because of the Great Resignation. I don't know a lot of other reasons, but I haven't really stopped to try to figure that out. All I know is that we are not getting candidates in the door. So, I guess, number 5 is that it could be easier to find good help.
Well, there's something to look forward to in the recession.
I'm looking forward to that. We need it.
Right?
Absolutely.
I mean, there is absolutely
well,
a
and
silver
that's coupled with this turnover is reduced too, because it helps you keep the workforce you have, or at least the workforce you
Right.
want.
Exactly.
Now we have an interesting phenomenon going on here where there's wage inflation, but a slowing at the same time. So maybe some of these old tested ideas here may not be applicable in every situation.
In a recession yet.
Yeah.
And so the biggest sign that we're not in a recession is this really strong labor market. But in prior recessions, labor market peaks right before the recession, which is kind of by definition, if you really think about it, that people lose their jobs in a recession. So of course it's going to peak before,
and GDP goes down,
and GDP goes down as a consequence, right? But in any event, this is one of the reasons why many people are arguing that it's not a recession yet, because we have such an amazing labor market where wages are going up, where people who are quitting their jobs are getting new jobs with higher, more, better pay, and where employers like us are having a hard time hiring. If we have a recession, that might be one of the best things we can look forward to. And, of course, turnover. And knock on wood, right? It's the hardest thing to do to replace a key employee, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So having loyalty is really, really good. Well, hey, I think we've already mentioned the 7th point, and that's market share. It is easier to gain market share. If you're out there and not being afraid to go knock on doors and ask for new business, you've got less competition. I know we're finding that here. Jeff and I were just talking about some of the numbers. Our revenues at A&I Financial are directly related to the market, and so if the market's down whatever percent, you can expect our revenues are down whatever percent. And we're working extra hard to bring in new clients to overcome that. And as soon as the market turns around, we'll have all the new assets as well as the dramatic recovery of percentage terms that always follows every decline.
Yeah,
in the market.
presumably the business slowdown forces you, and this gets to a little bit the 8th, but a little bit different, but it forces you to innovate. So whereas before the recession, you could sit in your desk and clients would just show up, now you have to innovate either your sales process or your product or whatever. You have to differentiate. You have to create different. These are all positives. But again, the recession is the catalyst to you actually kicking it into gear and doing it.
It really does.
And part of that is this 8th point of efficiency too, because you're trimming the fat, as it were. You're trying to get more out of less. So efficiencies are always a positive.
Oh, it's a huge thing. Think about COVID. I mean, famously, the whole world went onto Zoom or some sort of we're working from
And
home.
now we're not sitting in traffic trying to get from meeting to meeting to meeting, right?
Right. And so we found this new way to get the job done and innovated and increased efficiency. And a lot of us are struggling to get people back into the office now. Well, if you had a recession, you could more easily make it a requirement to get people back in the office.
If that gets them producing, sure.
Right?
Because, we have one individual in our office whose productivity picked up significantly during COVID because he's like, I'm not sitting in the traffic for 2 hours a day.
I can crank it out.
Yeah.
Right? So you're going to make greater business decisions forced upon you by a recession.
So you can't bill hours while you're in the car?
Oh, I can.
Oh, I figured.
That's why my bill's so high.
No, it's. I've always tried to make it a point not to. This is a quick aside, not to work from the car because I just think it's professionally unpalatable for me to be talking to someone while I'm driving.
I hope so.
I would agree.
But some people want to get the call back, and when you do have to make that call, and whether it's from, I call it my mobile office, but I try to refrain from that. Just out of courtesy
Didn't
and
mean
respect.
to
No.
distract you there, Nate. Well, talk to
but
us.
no, I love the idea from billing wherever because if you can deliver value,
Right.
I like to do it from the beach. Thank you very much.
Exactly.
No.
Well, talk to us about inflation, Carl, and I guess one of the 10 optimistic reasons, number 9 here, it may tame inflation.
That's right. So we've had the worst inflation of almost our lifetime, and certainly of our professional careers, the three of us, right now, in the past 12 months.
Our cognizant lifetime for sure. I mean, I was alive during the 70s, but
All of us were.
Yeah, you weren't the one paying the bills.
no.
No, we didn't have to pay the bills back then, and certainly, we all felt it,
Yeah.
right? When gasoline went to $1, I know my parents
By
were complaining about
1987,
it.
right.
Yeah, right. My parents were complaining about it. So, no, in by definition, inflation is too much demand, too many dollars chasing too many little products. Well, if you tame that demand, then you've got a less chance that the prices are going to continue to go up, right? The prices are going to have to continue to compete to get the business in the door. So inflation can be tamed by the whole economy suddenly deciding to slow down just a little bit. The hope is that the Federal Reserve is going to make decisions, and Nate's giving me the evil eye, like, yeah, good luck with that one.
No, well, yeah, I'll give you the evil eye on that. I was thinking about something else, but we'll get to it in a
the
second.
Federal Reserve can get us to a soft landing where we won't have to have a recession, where we get the interest rates high enough that it can slow down the economy without costing us a whole lot of jobs and a whole lot of agony. It remains to be seen. There's not a good track record of the Federal Reserve ever doing that. But there's a lot of hope that they might be able to get it right this time.
No, I think at some level, I mean, there's so many. We've talked about inflation and kind of the causes of inflation, but at some point in time, it's the increase in the cost of goods that would also seem to tame inflation. Like, I'm just not going to pay this anymore. But for commodities, and this was why I was giving you the funny look, I was trying to think to myself, so you can't decide not to buy milk and bread and stuff like that. So if there's not a scarcity of milk and bread, which I presume there's not, but it's the cost of producing those things that's driving the cost of milk and bread up, it seems to be mostly labor. We have we're going back to the labor problem, is labor is getting much more expensive, and that makes everything else more expensive, because whether it's the steel you're using or the wood or the glass, it gets produced somewhere with labor.
Yeah, once labor prices go up, they don't come down.
Right.
It's very hard to bring them back down.
Unless you really find yourself in a deeper
really
recession.
Hard.
Yeah,
it's still really hard to take a really good employee who you've given a $2 an hour raise to and say, well, we don't need to pay you those $2 extra now. Please don't leave us. Right? As an employer, that's a really hard thing to do, because you're terrified that really good employee is going to leave. Right?
Yeah.
Right.
So labor is really a sticky inflation.
Really good is the key qualifier there, because sometimes in a tight market you don't hire always really good, and you're willing to shift some of the B employees back to the labor force and find yourself someone you are willing to pay the $2 extra to.
Recession can be a great opportunity to find those really good employees.
Right.
Yeah, this can be a gift like you've never seen before. So yeah, inflation can be really sticky. This one can be really bad, and could last a lot longer. And we see that in the stock market. The stock markets are acting short term very dramatically over future bets over what this means for whatever companies that are out there right now. But like we talked about at the beginning of the podcast, the best companies are going to do better. The worst companies are going to go out of business, and the almost worst companies are going to be bought and merged into the companies that are doing well. So market share is a huge opportunity during these times, and the companies that chin up and chest out are the ones that are going to do the best.
I appreciate you making a plug there for Goodspeed Merrill.
You bet.
The best companies.
That's exactly
come join the
what
team.
I was doing.
Right. Sorry,
join the gang. The second floor.
Well, awesome. Hey, why don't we close it out here with number 10, which I think we've mentioned already. I kind of let the cat out of the bag not probably 10 minutes ago, but I think the best news of all is that you know what, the sun will come back up again, right?
Absolutely.
It rises every morning.
Are you going to break into song?
No, I'm not, but I'll let you.
No.
I know you got a song for that.
No, I'll play the drums.
But recessions are temporary. This too will pass, and some of the statistics that support that are, most of them since the 1980s have been less than 10 months in duration. And
so were most of my relationships.
Yeah,
sorry that.
Oh my goodness!
Says the man of 20 plus.
Sorry, I got to bring in some humor here for this very heavy topic.
That's good, but I think anything more than 18 months would be known more as a depression, right?
Right.
So, I think at this point in time we're feeling like it's a recession, and
I think the odds are pretty good.
Who knows what things will look like here in 12
And one of the
months.
analogies that I love that a business owner gave us the other day, he runs a completely different type of business than the three of us, and he said, a healthy company is like a healthy person, right? A healthy person gets sick, they get the flu, they recover fast. But an unhealthy person who catches the flu or COVID might not make it, right? And it's the same thing. As a company goes into a recession, it's like catching the flu. And a healthy company it's not going to last. They're going to get over it. They're going to do well. And the unhealthy companies are going to go away.
Yeah, I'll pile on to that. I'm not much of a gardener, but I do know that there's real meaning and certainly purpose for pruning, right? And I think we can really consider that as part of this process. We do come back stronger when some of these shoots are pruned off, and we tend to the branches that are actually fruitful. It's just one of those natural, I think, just natural things that happen. So
it's very true.
All right, my friends. Any other closing thoughts?
No, I like the analogy of the pruning. That's a very good analogy. Learn from nature.
So says Farmer Nate.
That's right.
All right, everybody, create a beautiful day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us today. Hope you enjoyed the information we shared.
If you enjoyed this podcast, please feel free to share it with someone else. And join us next time.
Want to meet with a member of the team? Please contact us at info@expertnetworkteam.com. That's info@expertnetworkteam.com.
If you have special topics you'd like to hear about, please reach out to us and let us know at the same email address. Again, that's info@expertnetworkteam.com. Thank you for joining us and have a great day. Thank you for listening to this podcast. We want to remind you that listening to this podcast does not establish a client-professional relationship with any of the firms represented, nor does it constitute legal, investment, or accounting advice, and the views are those of the professionals only.
Investment advisory services may be provided through A&I Financial Services, and securities may be provided through Genios Wealth Management.